What's going on, New Fighting Order fans? Yes, I am eating. I'm hungry as fuck. I don't give a shit. Today,
you greedy bastard.
This is our weekly Thursday night podcast. And this is your host, Alex Lexus and Nelson Rios, with staff member Demizzle, the New Fighting Order podcast, talking about your current games, mugen, media, all that good shit, all mixed up. The best of all worlds. So today
and
we're
porn
covering well, we'll talk about porn another time. And those of you with the Internet Explorer on the Xbox, you know you're fucking going on Xvid and then watching shit on there. So yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, we're gonna be covering. Actually, this is a podcast redo. We had a little mishap. We had an excellent podcast last weekend, and we had audio issues. So, I mean, Nelson, the mad scientist,
if you caught us
in
live.
there. Yeah, I mean, it was all good. But we'll get that squared away. But the topics that we're going to be covering, because I'm going to actually give out the layout. So, because some people may listen to certain parts of the show, and once that part is done, they can go on to another video. So I'm just gonna give you guys now the script that everybody on New Fighting Order gets before we go into our podcast. So we're gonna be revisiting the Wii U, our thoughts on Nintendo's angle, their target audience, the market that they're trying to encroach on with the hardcore gamers. Also, we're going to be talking about character changes. We had a discussion, Nelson and I, about Chun-Li from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and how she was virtually changed from charge to motion, but Blanca comes over to Cross Tekken is unchanged. And it kind of fucks up the whole mix, but that's the second part. And the final part, we're going to be also talking about Street Fighter 4 and Ono entertaining the idea of possibly doing a 2013 patch for it, but we do know that he's busy doing other projects like Darkstalkers Resurrection and other titles and what have you. And finally, I'm going to end off with Street Fighter Cross Tekken 2013 patch. Will it save the game? But there you have it. Those are the topics in that order that we're going to be covering, so you can skip through, or, just to let you guys know where things are going in a particular order. So, we're going to revisit the Wii U topic that we had discussed. We had hit a lot of great points, but unfortunately we lost that. But we're going to try our best to recapture that magic. All right, so the Wii U has been out for a little bit, and Nelson in the last podcast said something very interesting. The Wii U seems like a giant Nintendo DS. And, I'm going to give Nelson the floor with the Wii U and what he thinks of the system. And then I'm going to give Demizzle some time. But Nelson, when you said that on last week, give some more insight on the Wii U literally being like a huge Nintendo DS.
Alright, basically what I meant by that is because you know how like the Nintendo DS only incorporates two screens. One that you have the main screen, and then two you have the follow-up secondary screen, which is basically like from maps, items, or what have you. And endorsing that in the Nintendo Wii U, you're kind of doing mostly the same thing. Because one, you have the bigger screen for whatever size TV you got, and then you have the little mini Wii Pad is what I call it, that you have like your secondary screen where you do all the same little features as you would on the Nintendo DS or the 3DS. So that's just my impression of it. It's just basically like a big boy's version of the Nintendo DS instead of having it like mobile bound.
Okay. Demizzle, what are your thoughts on that?
I honestly think that Nintendo is targeting the wrong audience with this console because they bought it out too late for it to make any significant impact, because the audience they're targeting are the same audience that already owns Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So, like, before with the Wii, they were like, hey, look, you can stand up, get into the game. You don't have to be hardcore in order to play this. Anybody can do it. And that's what attracted all those non-gamers and casual gamers. But with this, they're saying, okay, sit back down on your ass. We can pretty much do everything that everyone else can do now. If this console would have came out like a year ago or like 18 months ago, it would have made a bigger impact because it would have came out before the Move and the Wii and the Kinect, because those two devices were coming out around this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay,
it's like, okay, what's the point now? Because now you have Microsoft's console potentially a year away, and it technologically is going to be so much better than what the Wii U will be able to offer. And
plus with the Kinect 2.0, like the Wii U, it's what is it going to be able to do to stand up to such a powerful system codenamed the Durango in the Xbox 720? I mean, some of those specs are pretty. Oof.
Yeah. Plus, you've got developers already saying that the Wii U processor, like the CPU, is like underpowered. So when the next generation of consoles drop, because I don't consider this Nintendo console, the Wii U, to be the start of the new generation. It's
and
just
I was going to get on that. That was going to be the next question. I didn't mean to interject. Between you and Nelson, is from what the Wii U has been showing and what IGN has been covering and game trailers, IGN said something in one of their videos, and they're questioning, is the Wii U really next gen? It's pretty much like a gimmick type setup where, okay, you got Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on it, but you can use the little screen to pull up. I mean, that's pretty cool. But the Batman hooked up edition, armored edition, that looks like the more, I wouldn't say more superior, but it has a lot more you can do with it in terms of the Wii Pad and everything. The Ninja Gaiden 3, they got the better version. You know what I mean? There's some cool things with it. I wouldn't
consider that version a better version, to be honest. I really would.
Nelson, what do you think about that?
Gaiden.
Well,
I mean, the Ninja Gaiden is getting all the weapons by default. You know what I mean? Like, you know, what we had to pay for on the Xbox and PSN, the Wii U version is getting that, plus, you know, fixed mechanics. But, yeah, Nelson, what do you think about Batman not being the better version, considering it has all these new features?
Well, I know when I played it on the Xbox and on the PlayStation 3, the game was good in every way possible, but now you're incorporating the Armor Edition that the Wii U's in storing, where you have more compatibility with the actual screen, where you're able to move the Batarang, which you can do on the PlayStation 3 as well with the 6-axis, just saying. But you're able to be more technical with the gadgets, and it'll give you more information and database like an iPad would, which we kind of have for Smart Glass already for the Xbox. But out of all seriousness, the Wii U does have a superior Ninja Gaiden 3 and a Batman Arkham City. Hands down. But for them to do that and kind of shit on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 owners by not adding that armor into the game, those incorporated features, and the new what'd you call that? Combat mode levels that they added in the Armor Edition, I kind of feel left out now.
Yeah, that's messed up.
You know.
Yeah, that's messed up. But understand that, you know, Nintendo is using an old practice that Sony used to use. They need some sort of exclusive to push that system. Look with the whole Bayonetta thing where it's exclusive on the Wii U. I'm sorry, as much as I love Bayonetta, I'm not getting a brand new system just to play that. I'm going to hold my money off until they bring it on the fucking Xbox. Bottom line. I'm sorry. But no, Dave, you going to say something?
I strongly disagree that Nintendo got the better versions of Ninja Gaiden and also Mass Effect 3, because if you like really sit down and play with them, even though they included the weapons from the get-go, the graphics are rougher, the gameplay isn't as smooth, because like in the Xbox and PlayStation versions of Ninja Gaiden 3, there's really no slowdown in the game at all. But when you play the
I don't know,
There's
man.
not.
There's certain areas there's in the multiplayer when there's a lot of stuff going on. You might see it.
It happens in the single player in the Wii U version a lot. There's a lot of slowdown in the single player version of the Wii U.
Okay, that's fair enough then. That's fair
also, in Mass Effect 3, like the graphics are just really, really rough compared to the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 versions. And also, there appears to be like some sort of delay with the controller. I don't know if it's a technological issue or a game issue, but I've noticed this across several games that a button press on the pad will not correspond with the action that's happening on a television. And it'll be like a half second to a full second delay, to the point where you'll have to mash out what you want to happen in order for it to happen on the screen. And that's just totally unacceptable to me.
Now, Dimensional, let me ask you this. Now, is that controller wired or wireless?
It's a Bluetooth wireless pad, but you can hook it up to the system, but it still experiences the same delay even when it's plugged into the system to charge. Well,
you know what? I have to double check that. I'm not disagreeing with you, but the GameStop near me in Hillside, I'm gonna go and check because that's where I got to first play the Wii U, and they had their demos and everything. Now, I saw the kids playing with it. I'm not too sure. Well, the kids are kids. I don't think they're going to notice, but the three of us, we'll pick that shit up, you know. But I want to make sure I verify. But if you checked it, I trust what you're saying. But I want to see for myself, you know what I mean? Because that's kind of bad, especially if you're playing like a platformer and timing is critical. We're doing like a jump. Well, God forbid they do a Castlevania remake on there, and you got to sit there with Richter or Simon trying to do like a specific jump, and then you get fucked up because it didn't respond in time. You know, Nelson, what are your thoughts on a possible delay on that Wii pad?
Well, I kind of believe it because I did watch a lot of streams where I would watch Zombie U, which is out for the Nintendo Wii U, and I also been watching the Mario game. There is a delay. It's not like a significant delay if you're just like a casual gamer and you really don't give two shits about gaming. But if you're a gamer like such as us three in general, you'll kind of notice there's a slight delay. Not like a 10-second delay, but it's more like 2 seconds, maybe, probably half of a second. If
that. Milliseconds or so.
Right. And you won't really notice it as much. But with the whole thing that he was mentioning before about the Ninja Gaiden 3 and the Mass Effect having a slighter delay than the console for the Xbox and the PlayStation 3, I played both versions. They both have slowdowns at their certain parts. But the Wii U, yeah, it will have more of a slowdown because of the fact that, to me, I don't think they're using next-gen graphic cards or anything. I still think that they're using the Wii processor, but they're just incorporating these games. So that's why they can't comprehend the frames per second.
But
or
well, the spec-wise, they're saying that the Wii U is on par with the current gen, like with the Xbox and the PS3. That's what's being said, you know. However, if that's the truth, then it should be able to handle those games no problem, you know.
No,
but
the way it's set up. The Wii U technologically is slightly superior than the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but the way it's set up within the system, it's the RAM isn't unified, so you don't get a lot of streaming into the RAM where you have that fast reaction and things don't slow down. And also the CPU, the way it's being used, it's not being used to the way they have it set up. It's not set up to play the games that the way that they're meant to be played. So you're going to get a lot of slowdown and a lot of you're also, when you get a lot of these ports, you're going to see like a lot of noticeable differences in the ports that you see from the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions over to the Wii U, I guarantee you when like Darksiders 2 comes and those other games, you'll see noticeable differences between the PlayStation and Xbox versus the Wii U versions, and it won't be in favor of the Wii U versions because of the way the console is set up technological wise.
Okay, here's another question with the Wii U. Now that some killer apps are coming back to Nintendo, because we do remember Nintendo's golden era with the SNES, they were having like the A+ titles. So if you got, how can I say? Matter of fact, okay, look at it like this. You got a company like Konami, Capcom, EA, Tetrarch, and what have you. You know, now with the way the economy has hit, you know, a lot of the companies, you know, they're going to be very, how can I say, they're going to be very careful with trying to use resources to develop on all three systems, you know what I mean? Now, me preferably, I'd rather, you know, them focus on two systems and focus all their resources on two systems that are selling more, okay? Let's say that Nintendo starts getting, you know, market share, started getting a hardcore user base, and now you got to split the same resources amongst three systems. Won't that degrade the quality of the games? And Nelson, I want you to respond first. Oh, no, Demisel, respond first, then Nelson.
I don't see that happening, mainly because, as I said earlier, like as early as maybe next year around this time, you'll see the next Xbox console and possibly the next Sony console. And what'll end up happening is that developers will shy away from developing on the Wii U because they won't be able to incorporate their full vision onto the console. And they'll focus strictly on the next Xbox and the next PlayStation machine, and they'll have a choice to make. Like, do we want to port down to a lesser console, or will we not just put the game on the console altogether? And I think they're going to do it just like they did with the Wii and not release games on it because they don't want to shorten their vision. They don't want to, like, give the fans, like, what they, like, say, Ninja Gaiden.
Almost like a watered down.
Yeah, they don't want to give them a watered down version of what another console has to the point where it won't even be the same game. Like, for instance, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 got what the hell is that game? Because I have it right here. They got a version of well, shit, I can't even remember. But here's an example. Xbox 360 and Sony PlayStation 3 got a version of the game that is nearly they both got Black Ops, and Black Ops on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 are virtually the same game. And the Wii also got Black Ops, and it's a totally different game due to the capabilities of the system. And that game sold like absolute crap because nobody's really playing multiplayer on the Wii. And plus, it's not even remotely.
They don't have a robust online system. Like, they don't have PSN, they don't have Xbox Live.
But multiplayer was a part of why people buy Black Ops and Call of Duty for that robust multiplayer experience. And when you see it on the Wii, they're like, "What's this?" And it's an on-rail shooter for the Wii, and people didn't buy it. So that's what's going to end up happening with the Wii U when the next Sony and Microsoft systems drop. They're either going to get a really, really watered-down version of the game, or it's not going to come to the console at all because they're not going to waste resources developing it.
Nelson, what do you think about that? Like, you know, if let's say Nintendo starts getting a good user base amongst the Xbox and Sony brands, and now the companies might feel compelled to develop on three systems, do you think that might change the quality of the games. I know Capcom would claim all kinds of, well, we can't do this and we have to take these features out. They're the kings of excuses when it comes to that. But what are your thoughts on if Nintendo becomes a major player again? What's going to happen with developers' resources, with costs going up, and they're having to pump out high quality stuff at a budget.
Well, just as they said, it's gonna have to be put on a foundation, whether if it's gonna be based on the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360, that will be made first, let's say, right? And then if you know for a fact that the Wii U is incapable of doing certain things, you're gonna have to water it down or give it something else to substitute for what they can't acquire within the 360 or the PlayStation 3 port or even next gen, we'll just say. So, my opinion, the companies, they really can't start a foundation on the Wii and grow it from there and put them on the current systems we have now, because it wouldn't work right. Because then they will have to revision everything over again, basically like make a whole new structure. So it's easier for them to say, all right, let's release, give you an example right now. Let's say Devil May Cry, right? They released Devil May Cry on the PlayStation 3 first, let's just say. And they take that and they make the exact same port as they would on the 360. Boom, that's easy work. But if they had to do that shit on the Nintendo Wii U, you have to incorporate the controller, you have to incorporate that there's two screens, and you have to make use of it. You can't just directly port a game and not have use of what you bought for your console. So they have to incorporate every little fucking aspect now, where you could probably see a map, or you could change your weapons on the fly, or you could have easy mode where you just like mash on your fucking pad and you do like a 15-hit combo. I don't know. But I'll have to agree with the Miz on this one though.
Okay. Well, considering, alright, the last two things I want to talk about is with the Wii, is Nintendo trying to be hardcore, and will it be a hit or a miss? I mean, just overall, because I'm one of those types where I'm a skeptic, but I want to see the Wii when they finally start learning how to use all that the system has to offer, not in terms of power, but in terms of functionality. And I think that's its strongest point, because we know Nintendo's not known for putting the most powerful systems out. The last time they were ahead was in the Super Nintendo era. Now, they're just trying to stay afloat by having a gimmick. And I don't know if it's going to make it for them this time. Demiso said on the last podcast that, the Wii's success was only because people are getting up and doing something different. Now Nintendo's going after loyal, hardcore fans to the Xbox and the PlayStation. And you got a lot of people who are steadfast and like, hey, I'm hardcore Sony fanboy. You got others hardcore Microsoft fanboys. Nintendo has to do a lot to really break in and say, hey, you know what? We got stuff too. Come play our stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's going to work because of the lack of the robust online play or online network. You know what I mean? Like, for online, I believe Microsoft, for a paying service, has the most online users out of all the three systems. So Nintendo has to do a lot to get into that hardcore, mindset again. And not only that, it's now you're just like, okay, well, if Nintendo doesn't make it this time, should they just go third party? So Nelson, I give you the floor first, and Demiso next.
Well, basically, if they're going to try to go that route, it's going to be kind of hard, because Nintendo has already established themselves in their early years of gaming, and that's why people was on it like so quickly. But now, since that we have Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3,
yeah, for kids,
right? They're basically the Wii or the Wii U or the 3DS or anything made by Nintendo is mainly catering to kids and probably like older casual gamers. They're not really catering to what we normally do in the everyday life, like how Microsoft and Sony, they're smart because they go after the shit people are currently doing, such as social media, such as movies, music, gaming, internet. That's basically what, from I would say a 14-year-old to a 28-year-old person will be doing. Currently, they'll either be on Facebook, they'll either be on Twitter, on the internet, playing online games and shit. They'll be listening to music, watching Netflix, Hulu, talking to people in party chats, doing video chat. That the two companies know what's big and what's going on right now, and they're hitting the targeted audience like this. With Nintendo, they're
Mm-hmm.
still kind of in the past, and they think that everything is based on the foundation of, oh, let's give the kids something to play. Let's make a console mainly just for the kids and for the casual people that are not really too serious. For them to become hardcore is a big, huge step for Nintendo, and there's no way they can catch up now this late in the game. So, I think
All right,
honestly,
it's like they branded
right,
themselves pretty much. They're like, hey, you're for kids. Like tricks are for kids, Nintendo's for kids. Mushroom stamp them right on the forehead. All right, Demizo, what are your thoughts on that? Can Nintendo ever be seen as hardcore again? And will it be a hit or a miss, or should they just go third party?
I don't think Nintendo will ever be seen as hardcore again because of their last outing. Their last outing was not targeted at the hardcore at all. Like, you know how the Wii sold, like why it sold? This is, like, I said this on the last podcast that people wouldn't have heard if they watched the archive, but this is how the Wii sold. Say you have a Wii and you have Wii Sports, and I'm a non-gamer or like a casual gamer that'll play like something like Minesweeper or Tetris on my internet browser. I come over to your house and see you playing Wii Sports, and I go, hey, I can do that. That looks easy. And I play, and I'm like, this is fun. I'm going to drop $200 on a Wii. So I go buy a Wii and invite some of my friends, like 5 or 6 friends over that aren't like video game players, and they play it, but you're not playing your Wii, but my 5 or 6 friends also say, hey, I can do this. This looks like fun. And they go out and buy a Wii. And it just spread like word of mouth, like among casual non-gamers, that this is simple. This is something that I can do. The Wii U is trying to go in a totally different direction, and it's going to leave those people that they picked up behind that didn't adapt a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360 as their next console. And I don't think it's going to work for them, the whole rebranding. And I think the best thing that could happen to the Wii U is that it fail. I'm not saying this out of spite, but I think the best thing for Nintendo right now in terms of console is that they go third party like Sega did and license out their IPs to like get people like Platinum Games to do it and get Namco Bandai to do it or Capcom or Sega to do some of their premier franchises so you can breathe new life into them and reach a totally different audience like the hardcore Microsoft and Sony players, because a lot of people would love to see a straight up hack and slash Zelda game like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, or people would like to see a more mature Mario game made by another company.
Can I pause you for 1 second? Can I pause you for 1 second? You said something that really clicked in my head. That Platinum Games got their hands on other IPs. Like, look at what they did with Metal Gear Rising. They're going to take that in a whole different direction, and those who are like Devil May Cry fans or Bayonetta fans, they're going to eat that fucking game up. You know, Konami did the smartest thing by outsourcing it to the former Devil May Cry team, now Platinum Games, right? Now imagine if you had a Zelda game like that. Let's say if you had a Metroid in third person, like you see how Raiden's running around with the Buster Cannon and everything. Imagine what that would look like. You know what I mean? You can open up the infinite possibilities by going that route. But Nintendo and their president, the U.S. president, they're like this. They're very guarded with their IPs. That's why, for instance, with the failure of the Super Mario movie back in the day, you haven't seen any like Nintendo movie since. You know what I mean? It's just Nintendo is very like under lock and key when it comes to that kind of stuff. But it would be a lot better, and this is how they can truly hit hardcore by going to like companies like NetherRealm, working on like a really dark like Zelda type thing, or hell, getting into like crossover games with a darker theme. You know what I'm saying? So let me give Nelson some time on that. Well, what do you think about that, Nelson?
Well, I would agree. At the same time, it's just like I don't understand why they do this because apparently made by you know team team ninja
Team Ninja.
team ninja and they
Mm-hmm.
supposed to incorporate the exact same thing, but it still felt like it wasn't fully like how would you say, like a good switch. It wasn't like how it was meant to be when they stated it. It was like, all right, you're supposed to be able to do this, supposed to be more action packed, supposed to feel like more of like
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Gaiden, but it still felt
Yeah,
way
yeah,
too
yeah.
much as like a Metroid game. But for them to do that will be definitely a big risk in their eyes, and they don't want to see their captivating IPs get destroyed or demolished like how Capcom would take chances or Konami would take chances or other big title companies. So, in my opinion, if Nintendo really does need to experiment, even if it's not their reasonable idea, they need to experiment. They need to listen to the community and see what they would honestly want instead of just, reinventing the same fucking wheel that you've been molding for almost 25 years or however so long.
Like Mario.
Right.
Mario has not changed. Like, for instance, like Mario should have gone the route of Mega Man and Mega Man X. You see, although it was still a platformer, but the original Mega Man, you just got the weapons from the bosses and you use them in the final battle or whatever. Mega Man X started introducing upgrades and differences to Mega Man's look, and then at some point Zero became playable in Mega Man X3. That kind of stuff where, evolution over time. Even though I know Nintendo has been changing things with Metal Mario and power-ups and Yoshi and all that, that's fine and good, but it's still the same Mario
that we saw in 1985.
Yeah, the Mario that I grew up with, you know what I mean? Super Mario World was freaking awesome. That was probably like the best one since Super Mario 3, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, they have to find some way to add like an RPG element or do it like Symphony of the Night, where you're doing like a Metroidvania type thing, or or Shadow Complex, or change the graphics a little bit, do something a little different, or maybe Nintendo develop an online where, hell, I wouldn't mind playing as Luigi and Nelson playing as Mario or something. They got to start opening it up for They just had to do something a little different. It's the same recipe that they're just churning that butter over and over and over. But
how many times can Princess Peach get kidnapped, man? For real.
Well, it's happened to the Double Dragon twins for up until Double Dragon 2 and the heifer gets killed. But oh well, hey, shit happens. But as we draw to the Wii U portion to a close, we're going to actually split the podcast up, and we're going to take an intermission, and we're going to shut down broadcast, and then we're going to come back with the second topic. All right, so Nelson, Demizzle, do you have any alibis before we take our quick intermission?
Not really.
Well,
right.
I got one more thing to say. I got a new new thing going on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/dmanforlife8017. It's called D-Man Plays. I'm playing your favorite retro games on MAME. So if you got any requests, go subscribe to the channel and make the requests.
Yes, that channel, actually, we're going to put a link onto the Twitch TV and the NFO YouTube channel, so that you'll be able to just click the link, just like Twitch TV is on the YouTube link, so you'll just see it in there. So we got you. We'll take care of that. All right, so we're just gonna take 5. Those of you who want to stay on for the next set of topics, that's going to be character changes from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, or just fighting King of Fighters, that kind of stuff. We're going to be focusing on Chun-Li and Robert Garcia. Those characters keep going between charge and motion, like it's just some crazy stuff. So you fighting game guys, you don't want to miss it. Make sure you come and join us for that next portion. For the rest of you, we Nintendo fans, we'll see you next time on our podcast.